If a client tells you you're too expensive, it's not a pricing problem, it's a positioning problem. You only hear it's too expensive when clients don't believe you're worth it or they don't believe that you're worth more than what you're asking. When contractors hear that, man, they do the worst thing. They start to discount their price. And unfortunately, that ain't closing, man. It's apologizing for the price that you gave. I remember being young in my landscape company, man, so hungry for work. I didn't have a standard for a job. It didn't matter what it was. I did not care. All I know is I wanted a job if it was paying. And one day, like, I went to a homeowner's house and he was asking to get a job done, and he wanted some stumps removed from his backyard that was already cut, right? And when I went back there, I looked at it. It was like logs cut in like 12 to 18 foot sections, like 15 trees cut down. I looked over it and I was like, yeah, I can do that. I went in there and I quoted the guy $5,000, and he looked at me dead in the face and was like, you're too expensive. I thought to myself, ain't no way. That's a lot of work back there. But I wanted a job early in my career, man, so I settled for $3,500, which is the worst mistake that I could have made. I started a job in the middle of the North Carolina heat, man. I live in North Carolina where when it's 100 degrees in the summertime, the humidity is like 100%. It feels like you in a sauna all day. The space was cramped in the back. I had to take my skid steer through his driveway, around his fence, around his pool to go back to this tight space, and I had to dig my way in, man. I had to remove stuff on my way in. Snakes, fire ants, mosquitoes, wasps were tearing me and my crew up, man. And that job drug me from start to finish. And I hated it. But the whole time I kept thinking to myself, like, I didn't get a deal, man. I got punished for not standing firm on my price. That job, man, it just won't worth it. And the truth hit me hard that day, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. That was the moment I figured out that if you drop your price, you absolutely lose your power. And you pay for it with your back, which is the worst way you could pay for it. If you're new here, man, my name is Kevin Cook. I built the Dirty Work sales system for the men who carry the real life weight on their back. The rebuilders, the fighting contractors, the ones who built what they have from the dirt. Before Dirty Work, I spent 10 years as a police officer. Then I built a 7-figure landscape company, then a 7-figure trucking company. And I've lost it all before. And I didn't just rebuild my business, but the most important thing, I rebuilt myself and my mind. And every lesson that I teach you right now, they're battle scars, man. They're from actually being in the trenches doing the work. It ain't from no book or no guru talk. This is for real, man. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to handle you're too expensive without discounting, without begging, without sounding desperate. And I'm going to give you 3 steps that'll make your client respect you, respect your price. And when they respect you and respect your price, man, they're going to pay. I used to think when clients called you too expensive, it was like personal and they were talking about you, like you just weren't worth it. But it don't really mean that, man. When they say that, it's not the fact. It's a complete opinion, man, and it ain't true. It's not that you're too expensive. It's just that you didn't deliver your estimate the correct way to where they saw the value clearly. Yes, and there's some people out there who are cheap that ain't gonna pay, but we ain't talking about them. There's gonna be people like that every day, and it's mostly a test of your positioning. Case in point, you'll have a contractor come behind you. If it hadn't happened to you, it's going to happen to you soon. That quotes a lot higher than you are. That you know they don't do as good as work as you do, and they get the job. So it's more so about your certainty, your clarity, your confidence. So you don't fold in that tight situation, in that tight position when you're delivering your price. And if you don't believe that you're worth it, then they ain't gonna believe that you worth it either. So listen, on that hot day, before we get into it, getting drug in the heat changed everything for me, because I realized that objections wasn't about the money. It was about me and my delivery. So 3 moves we're getting into right now that you can use to overcome the you're too expensive objection. And it's going to make you a killer when you're trying to close some deals, so you can raise your close rates and make some more money. And most importantly, close for all the daggone money. So move number 1, Isolate the objection. Most guys hear you're too expensive and they start wrestling with the number right away. Like you go straight to the number and straight to believing them and you start haggling on price when half the time the price isn't the real problem. Just because they say it's too expensive doesn't make it true. Before you deal with the number, always isolate the objection. Here's how you do it. Step number one, take the price off the table just for a second. Look him in the eyes, man, and stay calm, stay cool, and just say, hey, look, Mr. Smith, before we get to the numbers, like just imagine you had all the money in the world, the price didn't make no difference. Let me ask you just one question real quick. Do you actually like the service? Is everything included that you asked for? Is the install date, the when we're going to start, pretty good for you? Is the job completion timeline good for you? We're going to start Tuesday and end Thursday. Does that all work out for you? And I'm telling you guys, listen, most of the time when you start asking these questions, you'll figure out a lot of things. They like the offer, they like the timing, they like the scope, they like all of those things. But the only thing that they're usually reacting to is the fear of taking the next step, or that just being naturally what they say, like, oh, you're just too expensive, because people are inadvertently trying to get a deal. And most of the time, that's all the customers got. They just want to say you're too expensive so you can drive down the price. So your job is not to fold. Your job is to turn into a tour guide. Yes, a tour guide, and start guiding them to the finish line, not to just capitulate or let me say, not to just fold on your price and say, oh, I'll just give you some money off. You're supposed to guide them to the sale. Once they confirm they're good with like everything that you asked, once they're good with that, then you move into move number two, which is hold your position. All right. Just hold the position. Don't backtrack. Don't fold. Don't start rambling. Hold your position. And I usually explain to my clients is don't flinch. Don't get into the and start rambling at the mouth, because most dudes will panic and immediately do three terrible things. Let me tell you these three terrible things so you just never do these things. And I promise you, you've caught yourself doing it before, because I've caught myself doing it before plenty of times early in the game. All right. Number one, you take too expensive like it's personal. Like you take it personal. And it kind of, it hits you in the chest, like emotionally. It makes you mad. It makes you sad. It makes you nervous. It makes you feel small. It makes you whatever. And you take it to heart emotionally. That's the first mistake. Don't do that, because they ain't talking about you. They talking about it. Okay. Number two, you start chasing the client around, like around the block in conversation. You go off in the left field, you start talking about this, or you start talking about that, or comparing it to this or comparing it to that. Like you start chasing them around in conversation. And what happens is you come out of the close and you go back into the sale of the conversation, or you just start talking about whatever, and you get off the subject of actually closing. And usually what happens in that circumstance is they say, well, just send me the estimate and then I'll let you know by Monday. And then you never hear from me. You know how that ends. All right. Number three, here's the last problem. You start justifying your price. You've already justified it in your entire presentation in your sale. Now you're in the close. You don't go back and re-justify, say, hey, listen, well, this material is expensive. Well, this job is hard. It takes me hours and hours and hours to do. That is the last thing you want to do, is start explaining yourself and justifying why your price is your price. That's usually a lack of confidence. That's usually a lack of clarity. And that is a sign of the customer just walking you down. And you don't want to start doing the backstroke in the pool when the customer is talking about it's too expensive. That's when they start leading the sale, and you don't want that to happen. So here's the move that you need to be doing. All right. Number one, stay calm. Stay chill. Act like when they said it, like you heard it every day, even at breakfast. All right. Slow down. Keep the eye contact solid, and lead them back to explaining what they mean by it's being too expensive. That's very important. Use lines like this. Sir, it's too expensive compared to what? All right. What exactly do you mean by it's too expensive? Or are you talking about the price, or are you talking about the deposit? Don't tiptoe here. You don't need to give them jerk pressure like you're just being a jerk. All right. Just a clean, clear tone of curiosity. Like, sir, what do you mean by it's too expensive? What do you mean by that? All right. Are you talking about the price itself? Or are you talking about the deposit? What do you mean by that? Can you explain? Or, sir, compared to what? What are you comparing your price to? That tone alone It's inviting and it drops your guard to have a conversation with you so you can stay in the close. Your tone is more important and your facial expressions are more important than anything here. This allows you to understand the client better and address the objection properly. Moving into move number 3, be a problem solver, guys. Don't be a jerk off. Don't be these guys suck. Don't be, well, this job takes a long time. It's hot. Don't do that, man. Just be the problem solver. Remember, you're a tour guide. You're just guiding. Hey, man, come with me. Come on to the finish line. That's your job, man. You are a salesman. You are not a working contractor when you are standing in somebody's when you're standing in somebody's living room, when you're standing on their front porch. That is not your job, man. Your job is to be the tour guide at that time, to be a salesman, all right? So be the problem solver. So once you understand what all that means and you embody that tour guide setting and be a problem solver, man, the job gets so much easier, man. The pressure goes way down because they either going to buy it or they ain't. They either going to close it or they ain't. And you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but you want to win more than you lose, right? That's everybody's goal. So solve the problem at that time so you can close the deal, whatever it is. Most contractors throw 5 solutions at clients at once, and you could do this, 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 we could do this. That confuses people, man. You ain't got to do all that. Do not do that, please. All right, slow down and solve one problem at a time. All right, here's the move. If they are worried about the deposit, like they don't have the money to give you the deposit, restructure the deposit, guys. There's so many guys that are against this. Or say, man, my deposit's my deposit. And if you live on the West Coast, you got a little bit more, it's a little bit more stricter for you because you can only take 10% over there in California, some other states or whatever. But I'm on the East Coast, North Carolina, man, where you can take a deposit for anything, right? Doesn't matter. When I had my landscape business, I would take 50% deposits. I don't care what it was. If it was above like $2,000, 50% deposit. So if it was $10,000 side job, you're talking about taking $5,000 up front. So some people just don't have that kind of money up front. They got it coming like in a week or something like that. So restructure the deposit. Sir, I'll take $2,500 a day, and I can take $2,500 a day before we get started, or the day I get here so we can start, so I can start ordering your materials. Or I'll take $1,000 a day, and you can pay me $4,000 when I show up. It's the same thing, guys. It ain't no different. What you are in dire need of and what you are looking for is commitment on site. You don't want to just say, okay, just call me on Monday. You want to tie up their commitment, a signature along with money. If you don't have anything to sign, you want money to tie it to them, to the job. Which, if you got skin in the game and they got skin in the game, that's the place that you want to be. Number 2, keep this in mind. You do not touch the structure of the price. So if it's $10,000, it's $10,000, right? You don't say it's $9,000 or it's $95,000. No, if it's $10,000, it's $10,000. We're only talking about restructuring the deposit. That's a huge one. A lot of people will close like that. Number 2, if it's compared to another contractor, like they're saying another contractor gave me a cheaper price and I'm comparing it to that, listen, just go straight apples to apples, man. Don't beat around the bush. Don't talk no trash. Just compare apples to apples and look what they're doing. Compare to what they left out, where they're cutting corners, where they possibly could cut in corners professionally. Say, hey, look, man, I understand why it's cheaper because X, Y, and Z. And explain it to them very clear. Don't explain it to them and leave it open-ended. Explain it to them why you're different and why you're more reliable or why your service is better. And tell them the consequence of doing it like that. Not the way they do it specifically, but you're a pro. You need to talk about the technique and the procedure and why it's a problem. Not why ABC 123 company sucks, because now that sounds defensive. We're talking about the work. You don't want to get into sounding like a nuclear physicist, but what I'm saying is you got to explain why the technique is not going to work good. This shifts them from price and it goes straight to risk. Like they think now you want them to associate the cheaper price with a risk. And that gap is where you want to be so you can close the deal. Don't forget to go for the close after you explain yourself so you can get the commitment again. Number 3, last one. If it's just the number and the number feels high, like the total price feels high, like they're saying, man, $10,000 is just too expensive. Man, point them back to the deposit. Listen, sir, I completely understand, but that's why we take a deposit up front. And we take a deposit because it's in small payments. That makes sure I'm good, you're good, and we can set the install date. We had it set for next week. We can have it set for the week after if you like. I still got some opening on that calendar, so it can give you some extra time. How's that sound? And you try to close them again. You ain't got to start wrestling the ghost, man, and start wrestling the price and justifying that. You are sending a signal of certainty and confidence that, bro, this is the price. The only time that you will change the price, which I don't recommend for the same service, is if you are going to give them a different service, like good, better, best, or you're saying, I wouldn't nickel and dime what I'm doing. I wouldn't let them go through and say, let's take off this and take off. No, we don't do that. If you want a different product, for example, when I'm in landscaping, if you want TIF tough turf, like Bermuda turf, which is more expensive than not common Bermuda, but $419. Those are two different prices. Sir, listen, I know you want TIF Tough because you've been reading the magazine or looking at AI or something that looks cool. I'm telling you right now, you throw some juice to $419, it ain't no different. It looks the same if they're not sitting there like right side by side. If they're side by side, of course you can tell the difference. But if you got lush green blades and putting stripes in it, sir, it don't look no different. And the price is a lot. It's 15-20% cheaper, which will save you money. It's the same service, but it's a different product, so the price is less expensive. You talk on a professional level like that, you are not cutting your throat on your price. You are changing the product. That's a different service. That's a different product. So in the end, guys, solve the real problem, not the fake one. Don't go for the pump fake. Don't go for the handoff fake where they say it's too expensive. You start chasing them all the way around the block. Isolate everything. Isolate it all, and then if they say it's not this, it's not that, it's true the price, then you zero in on it. That's how you take care of the problem, because so many guys are just jumping on that, running all around, and truly deep down in the customer's mind, they could be thinking about something else. But I want to explain something to you here. If you watch this play out hundreds of times with your clients, the second you stop dropping your price and start solving the real problem, the whole world is going to change for you. Your whole outlook on your sales conversations are going to change. They're totally different. Let me give you an example. So let me tell you about my client named Gio, man, in this very specific situation. We were working together for a while, and he's a remodeler. And one of the things that he was getting objections on all the time was he was too expensive. Great guy, man. He was just like most contractors, taking the bait. We'll call you back Monday, Tuesday, never hear back from him again. Took him like 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks to close the job because the customers were controlling the situation. We took him through the Dirty Work 5, which is the complete sales system that we teach here. And we changed a lot of his things in his sales process. When he got through with it, man, he was able to start closing deals more back to back and more on the spot. So he was closing like 60 grand in 2 weeks. He was closing 3 or 4 jobs in a row simply because we changed his confidence and a lot of other things in his sales process right there at the end of it, including isolating the objection, holding his position, and absolutely solving the problem just like I explained here. His stress level dropped, not because the client changed, but because he did. He changed. Clients are always going to be the same. They ain't doing sales training. They ain't doing objection training to try to haggle down contractors. They're just doing what they know how to do. And the only thing they know how to do is say it's too expensive. If you are still here, then you're not the kind of man who folds the second someone pushes back, or you don't want to be that guy anymore, because most contractors hear they're too expensive and they shrink, apologize, and drop their price. And they lose themselves in the whole moment feeling hurt or mad or whatever. You stay here through the whole message to the end, man, because you want to stand firm, you want to solve the problem, and you want to start closing those deals. So carry this with you the next time you walk into the house, man, and overcome this objection. Repeat this message over and over again, man, so you can sink it down into your brain. You ain't weak, man. You just got to work on it a little bit. And I want to tell you before I get out of here, we do not talk about business success like it's some kind of cool thing. We build it straight from the dirt. I'll see you on the next one, man. Let's get it.